What's up guys, Matty here. Today we're going to be checking out the new TubeTech Complete Bundle from Softube. So what this includes is the CL1B compressor, the Pultec EQ, as well as the ME1B equalizer. Now all three of those have been around for a little while, but they have updated them all in different ways, which we'll go over. But the big news is the new plugin, the SMC-2B multiband compressor. Now this is a well-known compressor in the mastering world. It is a all-tube optical compressor. It is a compressor I've always been interested in using in the hardware world, but I could not afford it, nor could I afford the tech staff that you would probably need to keep it going. So now that we have a plugin, it'll be cool to check it out. In today's video, we'll check out all the new updates, plus go over the brand new plugin. Let's go. Okay, so first let's go over the classic channel MK2, as they are calling it. So you have the Pultec EQ that we all know and love. Then the ME1B, which gives you a couple more frequencies, a low frequency, mid frequency, and high frequency. These are both peak, which means boost, dip, which means cut. So you can do that there. And then lastly, the famous CL1B compressor. Now, what is cool is if you've been around the Softube world for a while, you'll know that they had a version from way back when, I think 2006 was when it was released, was the CL1B compressor, and everyone loved it. Then they had an update, and they sound different. And sometimes I would find that I still like the 1B compared to the new MK2 or vice versa. So what they've done is they've added the ability to use either one. I think they're actually phasing out the older plugin, so they won't update it anymore, but they've put it into this one. And so if you see this switch over here, there's MK1 and MK2 compressor generation. And even when you switch it, it switches the VU meter, which is a nice touch. And so we'll go into this, we'll play both, and so you can hear them back and forth and hear the difference. Also in this update, they've added mid-side processing, which is a welcome feature for Pultec EQs. So you just click mid-side, you can either do it linked or unlinked. If you hit that button, you notice this one lit up, and then you can EQ the left independently from the right, or the mid independently from the side. So that's pretty cool to have. And then you can switch the EQ before the compressor by just turning that on, and that will change the routing of the whole unit. And then lastly, you can put a side chain before the compression of 80 hertz or 220 hertz, which is great for, you know, something like drums or bass if you want to just maybe EQ the top end. And then a parallel compression knob, which we all know and love on every compressor that's ever made, so please keep them coming. All right, so let's hit this thing in action. I got a vocal from my buddy Garrett Gregory. Please check him out on Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal and every other streaming platform in the world. Let's just run through. We'll get a nice vocal sound and see what this thing sounds like when you do a quick setting.
But honey, I'm done explaining why I'm working all the time, why I drink too much. I'll never settle down, I'll never smarten up. I got a bad habit of breaking hearts and breaking rules. If I don't pick up the phone fast enough when you call, and I'm not jealous enough, hell, I've heard it all. Well, there's only so many things that this boy can do.
Okay, so that's a nice starting point for the compressor. Before I get into doing the EQ, I just want you guys to be able to hear the difference between the MK1 and the MK2. Right now we're on the MK2. I'll switch back and forth so you guys can hear it.
But honey, I'm done explaining why I'm working all the time, why I drink too much. I'll never settle down, I'll never smarten up. I got a bad habit of breaking hearts and breaking rules. If I don't pick up the phone fast enough when you call, and I'm not jealous enough, hell, I've heard it all. Well, there's only so many things.
So you guys can hear there's quite a bit of difference. I feel like the MK2 grabs a bit faster, but there's a thickness to it that the MK1 just doesn't have. MK1 can sometimes sound a bit smoother to me. So, you know, depending, it's almost like having two compressors in one. You can try both ones to see which one fits for the vocal. We'll stick with the MK2 for now, but it's nice to have that ability to go back and forth. All right, so now let's just put on some EQ and see what this thing sounds like bypassed and with the full channel.
But honey, I'm done explaining Why I'm working all the time, why I drink too much. I'll never settle down, I'll never smarten up. I got a bad habit of breaking hearts and breaking rules. If I don't pick up the phone fast enough when you call, and I'm not jealous enough, hell, I've heard it all. Well, there's only so many things that this boy.
All right, so that sounded pretty clean. Let's go through and bypass it on and off.
But honey, I'm done explaining why I'm working all the time, why I drink too much. I'll never settle down, I'll never smarten up. I got a bad habit of breaking hearts and breaking rules.
So really cool to be able to have all that in one place. You can tell it just brought the vocal to life, a lot of that tube thickness from it. And then the EQ, you can never go wrong with the Pultec. All right, so let's move on to the start of the show now, the SMC-2B. We'll run through all the settings really quick, and then we'll do a quick master with it to see what it sounds like. So first you have basically 3 channels. It's multiband compression. You have your threshold, ratio, attack, release, and then your gain for 3 different compressors. Over here is your crossover. So that's the lower between the low and the middle, and then this is the higher one between the middle and the high. What's cool is it has this 4 times, and you can see it's either 150 or 600 hertz. I like the fact that they actually write that. Sometimes compressors and EQ have 4 times and don't write it, and you got to do the math in your head. I'm a fan of the parentheses. So you can do that on the lower band. The high band just stays where it is. To the right, you have a balance between channel 1 and channel 2, which is nice to have. Then your final output stage. So each one has its own output gain and then a final output, which I like because it gives you multiple different places to gain stage, which is always a good thing. Below that is the in and out switch for turning the compressor on and off. And then down here you have a dry wet knob. Like I said, always awesome to have that. And these are really useful. You can mute each band or turn each band on. It's a great way to be able to focus in on what you're doing to that specific frequency range. And we'll use that once we start working with this. And then over to the right, it's just like the complete channel. You have mid-side processing on this. You can link the channels or not and either change the left and right compression or the mid and side. Lastly, what's great, external sidechain if you need it. Okay, guys, so let's play this mix from my buddy Trip Carter, and we'll just start tweaking this thing and see if we can make it sound better with the SMC-2B plugged in.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I put my, yes, sir, yes, sir. I put my weight all on you. Get too hard for me, and I can't be strong for me. Tell me, come through, just to renew before I lose it. Goddamn, it gets rough, and I can barely hold myself up. You're the antidote. Fix my mental for a little, getting physical. It's that heavy head I carry, no lie. For me, and I can't be strong for me. Tell me, come through, just to renew before I lose it. Goddamn. So when the shit gets rough and I can barely hold myself up, you're the antidote. Fix my mental for a little, getting physical. It's that heavy head I carry, no lie.
So really quick, we just did some super light compression on each band, and this thing just pulls it to life. There's some sort of magic in this compressor. It's probably the tubes, just gives it some more warmth. And Tube Tech stuff, like I have the HLT 2A, 2AM. There's something about Tube Tech stuff that just kind of gives it this expensive sound to it. Let's play with it a little bit more and maybe just push it a little further and then do a parallel blend.
For me, and I can't be strong for me. Tell me, come through, just to renew before I lose it. Goddamn. So when the shit gets rough and I can barely hold myself up, you're the antidote. Fix my mental for a little, getting physical. It's that heavy head I carry, no lie. So sometimes I put my weight all on you. I can't bear it by myself. I put my weight all on you.
So yeah, the parallel blend's cool too. We can push it a little further and then pull it back quite a bit. And we got some of that, you know, glue, but also left the original transients and mix intact, which is a great thing to do in mastering specifically, because a lot of stuff like this is already a pretty compressed mix. Just a little pair of compression can give it some weight, but not overly compress it. So great unit. I'm sure you'll be getting a good amount of use around here. All right, guys, that is the new TubeTech Complete Bundle. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm a big fan of the new multiband compressor, and I'm always a big fan of Pultecs. If you need songs mixed and mastered, hit me up at mixandmastermysong.com. You can also find my courses and presets there too. Talk to you soon.